Welcome to the next video in the Bun mini video series. So in this video we're going to see how to dockerize our Express application and finally run our image as a container with a dockercompose file. So that's what we're going to see in this video. If you want to learn more, stick with me. Hello, what's up guys, Medium Guy here. I hope you're learning more day by day. So in this video we're going to see how to generate a Express application and dockerize it with a Docker file, and also at the end we'll see how to run our image which holds our Express project in it as a Docker container with a dockercompose file. So right before I start this video, if you want to learn more about Bun and deep dive in it, just don't forget to watch the other videos in this video series dedicated to Bun. So without any delay, let's get down to work. So as you can see over here, I'm in the official website for Express.js on the generator page. So over here you can see that we can generate a Express application using npx. But in our case, we'll use bunx, which is exactly equivalent to npx. So I'll move to the terminal. Over here, as you can see, I'm in the bun express directory inside my GitHub repository, where I'll put all the files and configurations and any other stuff that I create in my videos, and for which you can find the link down in the description section. So first of all, I'll say mkdir app to create a app directory, and because I haven't installed Bun locally on my machine and I have the Bun official image, so the thing that I'll do is create a temporary container and map the app directory to inside that container, so I'll be actually able to run Bun commands within that container, which will then take effect on the app directory, which is actually mounted to inside the container, and files will be also available from the host machine itself. So I'll say docker run to run a container from the Bun official image. I'll say --rm to remove the container whenever I finish my job with it. I'll say -it to run the TTY in interactive mode, so I'll be able to actually run commands inside it. And I'll say -v. I'll pass $pwd/app, and I'll map it to /home bun app inside the container, and also I'll just map a port to inside the container, like for example the 3000, so I'll be able to test out the Express application from within the container and actually access it from the outside network. So I'll pass on bun 1.0, and as the command I'll say bash to create a bash session inside the container. So as you can see, I'm now inside the container and the app directory is mapped to home bun app inside the container. So as a result, whatever I do and I create in this directory will be also available on the app directory outside the container. So I'll move back to the documentation and I'll just copy paste this command, and just remember to change this to bunx instead of npx. So there are some options that we can pass to this, as we can see over here. So I'll pass -v EJS to choose EJS as the view engine. So right over here, I'll say -v EJS, and also I wanna pass in the --git to actually add a .gitignore. So for some reason I got some errors on my local machine and I had to change over to a server, and actually I did exactly the same steps, and when I run the bunx express generator -v EJS to choose EJS as the view engine, and the --git to actually create a .gitignore in the project root directory. So as you can see, it creates whatever files and configurations that are needed for the Express project. So right now if I hit ls, as a result I can see the Express project files, and right now if I say bun I to install the required packages, it'll actually go ahead and create the Node.js directory and install every package that is needed in the package.json file. So I'm just gonna update my repositories to be able to install nano and to make some changes. So I'll say apt install nano, and right over here, if I say nano package.json, over here on the script section, on the start script, instead of saying node./bin ww, I'll change this to bun, and actually I'll pass the --watch to enable the hot reloading for the project. So I'll hit save, and right now if I say bun start, I should be able to access this Express application from the IP address of the server and on the port 3000, because I've mapped the 3000 port to outside the container, and also it is the default port that Express will use to listen on. So right now if I go to the browser, go to the server's address on port 3000, if I hit enter, you can see that I successfully can reach to the Express application running inside the container on port 3000. Also, if I say /users, I am able to access the /users route that is handled by Express application. So right now my application is ready, and if I go and take a look, I'll hit Ctrl+C. I've got my app.js file right over here. I've got my routes and app and every other stuff that will be generated by default with the Express generator. And on the routes, I've got two files, one handling the / and the other handling the /users, as we saw in the app.js file. So right now I'll hit Ctrl+D to exit the runtime of the container. I'll hit ls. I can see the app directory, and I'll cd into the app directory. I'll hit ls again, and right now I can simply remove the node modules directory, as we're going to create a Docker image, and it is actually created and stored in the Docker image itself and won't be actually needed on the host machine itself. So I get permission errors, and if I say sudo rm, it is successfully removed, and I come a directory back right over here. If I hit ls-la, you can see that I've got a Docker file and a dockercompose file ready. And if I nano the Docker file, in here you can see I am using the oven-bun version 1.0 as the base image for my project. The working directory is set to exactly the same as the bun official image, and then I've tried to copy the package.json file to the working directory, then run bun install, or actually I could have said bun I to install the required packages that is defined in the package.json file. Then actually I try to copy whatever exists in the current directory to inside the image that is being built to the working directory. And lastly, I'll have a default command which I've set to bun run prod, which actually doesn't exist, and I'm going to create it on the package.json file on the script section. So I'll get out of this Docker file, and if I say nano package.json, so I get a write permission error because these files are generated inside the container runtime, and in that the default user was root, so all these files are owned by root, and I am unable to write on these files. So in order to solve this, I'll say sudo chown. I'll pass 1000 as the user ID and 1000 as the group ID, which is the user and group that I am logged in with. So I'll pass in the app directory, and I'll pass the -r to apply these changes recursively inside the app directory. So I'll hit enter, and all the files are owned by my user. So again, if I hit nano, right now I can change this file and create the prod script, which I'll set to exactly the same, but I'll just remove the --watch as I don't need it in the production environment. So I'll hit save and exit from the nano, and the thing that I need to do is move the Docker file to the app directory, then move to the app directory, and if I hit ls, I have the Docker file over here. So if I say docker build -t to give this image a name, I'll say bun-express, and I'll pass dot as the context for the build environment. And if I hit enter, because I have already built this image with this exact name, Docker will actually try to use its cache and not actually do each step again from new. So actually my image is ready, and I'll move back right over here. I've got my dockercompose file. If I nano the dockercompose file, you can see that it has only one service with image bun-express that we just created, and the port that is mapped is 3000 to 3000 inside the container, and the restart policy is set to always. So whenever by any reason if the container gets down or gets destroyed, Docker daemon will actually try to recreate that container. So I'm just gonna remove this build section from here because we manually built the image. So I'll hit save, Ctrl X to exit the nano, and if I say docker compose up-d, as I can see, a network has been created, also a container attaching to that created network. So if I say docker compose ps, I can see the container is up and running, and the 3000 port is successfully mapped to 3000 port inside the container. So right now, again, if I go to the browser, I'll hit refresh, I can see that the response is coming from the container that is created from the image that we just built. So if I say docker compose logs, I'll pass -f to follow the logs, and --tail to grab the latest 100 lines. I should have said logs instead of log, and over here you can see that whatever request that I make is successfully logged to the output of this container. So that's all for this video. I hope you learned something new from this one. So that should be the same for many use cases. If you have any problem or any question, you can always ask me in the comment section down below, and I'll try to respond as soon as possible. So if you want to deep dive in Bun and learn many other features that it provides, you can always check my mini video series on my channel, where you can learn the basics or create a chat application and stuff like that, which I'm sure you'll actually find interesting. So if you like the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe, which will actually motivate me to create more free contents like this. And as always, you can find all the relevant links plus my repository link down in the description section. And lastly, don't forget to learn new things every day. And with that, I hope to see you in the next video.